welcome to JLI. I hope the petitioning process goes well. I know you are all dealing with trying times in the age of the COVID-19, and I hope everybody is healthy and well. My name is June Carbone. I am the advisor to JLI. I've been doing this now for about 5 years. I came to the law school in 2013 as the inaugural holder of the Robina Chair in Law, Science, and Technology. And in case you think I do nothing with science and technology, you should know that I have spent a career looking at assisted reproduction and looking at the impact of changes in technology on the kinds of things you don't think about, like inequality, and women, and the design of workplaces. So I'm very excited to be the advisor to the journal. I've greatly enjoyed it. I took on this role when Michelle Goodwin left, and it was a tough act to follow. If you know Michelle, or if you followed her career at Irvine, she is a very dynamic presence and cares passionately about these issues. And one of the things we've had in common is that we followed health law and the impact of health law in various populations our entire careers. And we got to know each other without knowing anything about each other because we admired each other's work. And I think that's a testament to the idea of intellectual exchange and social activism at the core of this journal. In putting this together, there are a few things I want to mention. Certainly one of the most exciting things about being involved with the journal is participating in the journal symposia, which we've had over the years. And they've been on a fascinating set of topics. The one Michelle hosted the year I started was a reflection on Derek Bell and his work, which brought together both people who had followed Bell's work and worked directly with him, with new people who were just starting their careers and were excited about the legacy of thinking about race in self-conscious ways. We had recently the 35th anniversary of the journal. We brought in Catherine McKinnon, who founded the journal. And McKinnon is incredibly important in the history of the journal. She got her start at the University of Minnesota. Bob Stein hired her. In fact, she was reflecting on her career and thanking him for taking a chance at a point where she was considered too radical for most law faculties. And I remember first meeting her when I was in law school. She was a recent grad. She came back to speak to the women's group. And we were just amazed that someone 2 years out of law school could be doing the work she had been doing with the impact she's had. And it's her legacy that starts the journal. We've had also in recent years, we had a civil rights summit. So after the inauguration of Donald Trump as president, we hosted an event that brought together civil rights leaders from across the country. It was funded to the tune of $150,000 from a variety of sources, including unions, targeting civil rights activists, bringing in Republican mayors who are concerned about the resegregation in metropolitan areas that is going on, and thinking about the agenda for the future. What is the future of civil rights? What is the role of housing? What is the role of segregation in anti-discrimination law? And Myron Orfield, who's one of the leaders in the country on this subject, really put together an extraordinary program with a matching conference that followed up in Berkeley to try to galvanize a new era of civil rights at a time when both the courts and the administration were expected to be more hostile. What we did after that is immigration. We had a conference on immigration in which the journal partnered with the Center for New Americans. It had heavy involvement with the ACLU, which is bringing some of the really important cases in the country on refugee and immigration law. And we had an innovative cast of speakers who combined both a look at the scholarly developments with, frankly, in a field where the scholarly developments depend on what's happening in court every day. We put together a really innovative program looking at that with national speakers who connected with the people who were working on the ground with these issues locally. We've also done, my field is family law. We've done a variety of things on family law. We had a workshop that the journal hosted where we brought Jennifer Barber of Michigan to talk about new research she's doing. She's tracking young women in Flint, Michigan, starting at age 18, to figure out why they get pregnant. So at the beginning of the study, nobody was pregnant, nobody wanted to be pregnant. But by the end of the first year, about 15% were. And her really innovative finding is that what most predicted whether or not the women would become pregnant and have children was very little about the women and a lot about their partners. The most overlooked explanation of why the women got pregnant is violence. Violence in the act that produced the pregnancy, not necessarily in the relationship overall. And the men who were most likely to father children tend to be older, to have multiple children with multiple women, to want the child, to be excited about the pregnancy, and not to be terribly likely to commit or to contribute very much. So it was a startling set of findings, and we brought legal scholars to learn about these new events on the ground. We also had another symposium where we hosted a national conference, open call for speakers. We had 65 participants, and we invited the speakers to submit papers. So that's been the kind of thing the journal has done, varied variety of topics. There are also lots of opportunities to publish student notes. I have been very excited about the notes I've reviewed over the years, which include topics such as what's going on with stalking on the internet, revenge porn, but it's also, there are notes going, students are working on right now about housing discrimination in the Twin Cities. There's a case bubbling up in the administrative process right now. A variety of opportunities to learn about what's happening here. And certainly the topics that were the subject of the symposium have also been the subject of student papers. So I want to add, I found my involvement with the journal to be exciting. I've certainly enjoyed it. The students I've worked with have been terrific. And one of the things we've done when we've held symposia is to try to reach out to prior year's editors. So for example, with the McKinnon Symposium in particular, we have alums who are still in the Twin Cities, mostly working with major law firms, who not only remember McKinnon, they worked closely with her in setting up the journal, and they were very excited to come back. Certainly one of the opportunities we've tried to encouraging is networking. I've been an advisor to journals at other law schools, and I find they work best when recent graduates stay in touch with the new group coming on board. So this journal has always had a distinctive tradition within the University of Minnesota, speaking up for topics that don't get covered, and also serving as a place where students can connect what's happening on the ground with activism in the future in their careers, and thinking about ways of making the journal experience useful to a legal career, to the exploration of issues that get overlooked, and to informing others about what's happening in ways that often are invisible. So I encourage you. I hope you do well in the petitioning process, and I look forward to working with you in the future. Thanks.